What's up, YouTube? This is Unruly back again with another video. This time we're going to review The Mandalorian. Disney Plus came out, and man, it surprised us all because it came out a little bit early. And when it came out early, I'm like, yo, let's do this. That's actually one of the things I was the most excited about Disney Plus. I was excited for the original series, especially The Mandalorian. I saw a little bit of the trailers. I didn't want to go too much into them, but I'm like, wow, okay, this looks like, and I was reading about it, and it's got a budget, nice, actually one of the biggest budgets from what I hear. And then there's, the series about, like the Marvel series and the Star Wars series is the main reason why I got Disney Plus. Plus I have daughters, they love Disneyland, they love Disney, and I'm like, hey, you know what, let's go. I actually canceled my Netflix prior to, a little while before Disney Plus was coming out, because I wasn't that, I didn't really like the season 2 of Stranger Things, and I'm like, well, that's one of the only other things I like to watch on Netflix. It just sits. But Disney Plus, man, I'm like, yeah, this is not an ad by Disney Plus, man. I ain't that popular where they're gonna like sponsor a brother. But anyways, so let's get back. This review is gonna be the first half of it. It's gonna be non-spoiler. Then towards the end, I will let you know. There'll be a warning and there'll be some spoilers about the episode. Now, the first thing that I could say about this is, I was like, man, I don't really want to binge. I want to take my time and enjoy the show. Now that I saw the first episode, I take that back. I just want to binge this show. And I think that I'll take one of my first negative things about the show. It was kind of short. I was hoping that we would get at least 45 minutes to an hour each episode, and yes, give me longer episodes, and then that'll be okay, because then I wouldn't have to binge. But right now, the episode was just sitting under 40 minutes, about maybe 38 minutes or something like that, and that was one of my only few kind of negatives of the show that I could say. But with going on with the review, everything was amazing. Like the cinematics, it wasn't on par with the movies, but it was pretty dang close. I'd say like the cinematics were about as close, like maybe to one of the I'd say it was very close to like Solo or Rogue One, right? It wasn't like the graphics, but the CGI wasn't as on point as the I would say the films, but it was really, really well done for the show. So that's what I have to say. The cinematography was amazing. All the shots when you fly into these worlds, you really believe it. It's like, wow, they actually did a really fantastic job. And it kind of takes me back to thinking about Star Wars Land. I go there a lot, or Galaxy's Edge, and I'm looking at the lands, and you can see the land, and I'm like, man, that's pretty dang close. Like Star Wars, Galaxy's Edge did a really dang good job, because that looks like like a planet on the outpost. But the cinematography was amazing. The action sequences, there wasn't a lot of action sequences. This is mainly an introduction, and there was some cool scenes in the film. So it's a warm-up episode for sure. It doesn't go all out. I'm hoping and I think that's my second thing about it. There was some great action sequences in the beginning, and I think this episode was a story builder. So you're not getting too much, but the action sequences that were in the episode were actually really good. I personally was just hoping for more, because that's just the way I am. I always hope like, oh, come on, give me more action, give me more. And but it does work like a show where at the end you're like, I want more. What's the next thing? And now we have to wait. So I think they did that right, because people don't want them to get Disney Plus for that week free and then binge everything within a week and then cancel, like I plan to do with some other streaming services. Maybe the streaming services that have whatever. But anyways, off topic. I think I'm going to stay with Disney Plus, because having the entire X-Men series, oh gosh, come on, this is a commercial for Disney Plus, this is a review. Anyways, but that said, the cinematography, the shots, the acting was pretty well done. There were a few characters that were kind of a little bit of annoying, and but other than that, it was great. It's kind of hard to talk about the show, not really go into spoilers, but when you're watching this, you are really like, yeah, this is a Star Wars universe. It feels like the Star Wars universe, but it feels like one of those one-off comics, right? When they had the Civil War issues and they had the side issues, that's what this feels like. It feels like this is the Star Wars universe, but this is going off in a distant part of the universe while everything is still going on. And but what else can I say offhand? I did see the episode twice. If I look tired, I may have been watching a lot of Disney Plus after it came out. But let's see. Those are my initial thoughts. I'm trying to think. Maybe we'll get into spoilers right about now. If there's anything I could talk about without getting spoiled, like the cinematography, the character, the world was really good. It said, like I said before, you really feel like you're in a Star Wars thing. I guess almost that's about what I can talk about without really going into spoilers. I would initially I would give it an honest 7 out of 10 for the first episode. I would have liked to seen a little bit more of the world, a little bit more, but it was solid. It was really good. I just know that it could just only go up from here from the first episode. There was a lot of things I like, and I guess I'll talk about that a little bit in the spoiler and portion of the review. I'm trying to think if there's one last thing that I can add in there. All right, so let's just wait. Oh yeah, I could say the acting was actually pretty well done. You know, it's a Mandalorian, and he never takes off his helmet. You can understand him well. He still manages to get emotion and really looks badass, and you could still really get a lot what this character's kind of doing when you're watching this. All right, well anyways, let's go and talk about the whole show and talk about spoilers. And it's not going to be a long video because the video was actually, because this first episode was actually kind of short. So you first come onto this world and you get to go see the cantina, another cantina because it's Star Wars and you're going to see cantinas. And what can I say? The effects and the creatures are amazing. They're really cool. Like the makeup and everything is spot on. There was a lot of like puppets and stuff. So it really did feel like the old Star Wars. Really did feel like it took place maybe a couple of years, maybe 3 years or 2 years after what happened in the initial Star Wars films. After, you know, Luke destroyed the Death Star the second time and the Empire had fallen. And that's like, you know, I think if you've seen the trailers, they talk about that. And I think that's what was one of my favorite things about this too. And well, my review is going to be all over the place and kind of mixed up. But I think that's one of my favorite things because, right, it's like you could see this world is kind of in disarray. Not totally, but you can see that you got that real big feeling of like, dang, like when the Mandalorian goes and accepts his bounty and he opens the door and you see these stormtroopers and their armor's all dirty, all messed up. And you can just really see like, this is like the Empire now has become the rebels. They're like in the underground, they're hiding, and there's still pockets of them maybe trying to come back or something like that, or trying to still do things even though they're dismantled. And I think that's one of my favorite things about the show. And I'm like, dang, that looks cool. Seeing these stormtroopers, seeing these guys, and you see these symbols which almost look like the First Order symbol, but very close, but not really. So maybe this show can actually give insight into how the First Order started to rise. I mean, because then I would guess maybe this show is like literally within a year or 2 or 3 after the events of the original trilogy. And I guess you could see the power vacuum that it has created, because now these credits don't work. There's specific parts where the credits don't work, and these credits are, I mean, they still accept them, but yeah, I mean, so that's going to be way more interesting to see. And just like my buddy Simmons said, he always wanted to see something where like the power vacuum was created and people were like, dude, you know what? The Empire was kind of they were kind of shitty, but they were kind of right. They put the whole this big universe in one order, and it made sense. I could use these credits here. There was some protection. Of course, they were a little bit strong-armed, but they did the whole thing unifying, and you know, so that thing that I guess you could see, and maybe that's going to play big into this new series. And I guess that's one of my favorite things of the show. You know, you could see the monkey lizards and, you know, tiny little callbacks, not major ones to, like, you know, because some people hate that. I personally love that. I love little Easter eggs. I love, you know, little nods to the past. And some people are like, oh, they're just trying to get you with nostalgia. I'm like, you know what? It is Star Wars. For me, personally, I say bring those things on. I really enjoy those things. So, and the thing, too, I like about The Mandalorian is he's not like a total crazy badass. He is flawed. He is not this unstoppable machine. As you could see, like, he takes on these guys in the very beginning, and then he basically was going to die at these two Goomba Tyrannosaurus Rex little creatures, right? He just lands in this planet, and he was about to die. So he's not this crazy, like, badass, right, that everybody pictures the Mandalorians, right? Even though the Boba Fett didn't do anything. Boba Fett was a loser. He was a Mr. Bean. He never did anything cool in the movies. So that's why I was excited for the show, because I guess we get to see what a Mandalorian can do. But, you know, like in the extended universe, like Mandalorians were fighting Jedi, multiple Jedi, and doing all this crazy stuff. But in this episode, he was a badass, but then he literally gets almost wrecked by these two little dinosaurs. If it wasn't for that Nick Nolte character, he would have been dead. He got chewed up. His last thing, he was like, he was like that. So I guess that shows that he's, you know, he was at once human. So that was pretty cool. So I do like that about the character. I do like how they showed a little bit more of the Mandalorian tribe, and you get a little bit more insight in that. You get to go see one of their headquarters, and you see their younglings, and that they wear their helmets all the time. And the whole time watching, I'm like, damn, man, like, when did they ever take it off? Do they only drink, like, you know, like through straws or something like that, or maybe like a private chamber, and then they eat and they take off their helmet? Will we ever see him take off his helmet? So yeah, so that was kind of cool. I did like seeing their headquarters. You do get to learn a little bit more about the Mandalorian tribe. You get to see that, I think, just depends on maybe how good you do. You get better pieces of armor. So then that would explain why Boba Fett was kind of like not that good, because, you know, he disintegrated people if he had to capture them. And he didn't have that badass, you know, Mandalorian like armor pieces, right? Because the Mandalorian had that, I'm pretty sure that his helmet was the same metal, and his shoulder pad was like also that metal. There's much better armor. So I'm taking the better Mandalorian you are, the better of those armor pieces you get, which are like accolades. That's what I'm thinking about. So yeah. And another thing that was actually my favorite was that iDroid. I believe, I forget the name of the droid. I like Star Wars. I don't know the name of the droid. It's I-88, I believe. But that droid, you get to see him a little bit in the original trilogy, just kind of in the background, but you never really get to see him in action. You're like, man, that droid just kind of looks like that droid's supposed to be a bounty hunter. Excuse me. And you get to see it in action, and it looks fantastic. It is awesome. He's very weird looking. He moves very awkward, but seeing him in action, you're like, oh wow, okay, I can see why this droid is pretty dang terrifying and would make a pretty badass bounty hunter, right? He's got the 360 vision, the gun kata, and that's just pretty badass. He's like, you know, that part was awesome. I really liked that droid. I really liked the synergy between the droid and the Mandalorian was actually really cool. There was some nice back and forth between them, and I think that was also one of my favorite parts of the show, which is really cool. I was really glad to see that character in motion. Now, we are in spoiler territory, guys, so yeah, you know, yeah. But what made me sad, though, at the end was like, there's something going on, right? So if you really pay attention to the show, he shows up. The I-88 droid, the Mandalorian shows up. Mandalorian was ordered, hey, we want to take him alive. And the droid's like, I gotta kill him. So there's something going on. And I think it's a power struggle, which could have been maybe the doctor. That's why he rushed in, because he wanted to make sure that, like, the orders were to capture this creature alive. And then, big spoiler, but you're here already, it's one of Yoda's race. And he's 50 years old, and it looks like a baby. And That's pretty wild. But he kills that droid, which is kind of makes me sad because I was hoping to see more of that droid, especially after this, because he was such a cool and unique character, and it was great seeing that character in action. But what else can I talk about this? Like I said, I'd have to give it a 7 out of 10. It was great. I think the only reason I couldn't give it more is just I wanted the show to be a little longer. I wanted just a tad bit more action, but this show is basically a Western. It is a space Western. The music is very different from Star Wars. It's got a different, unique feel to it. At one point, I felt like I was watching Rocky at the point where he's starting to ride that little lizard thing. The music definitely sounded like some Rocky stuff. But, all right. But other than that, chat, I think that is it on my review. It was great. I'll probably be doing these with each episode. So let me know what you guys thought in the comments below, what you think, and yeah, I guess that's it. I'll do like the whole YouTuber thing. Who's your favorite Star Wars character, right? Actually, that just goes back, and I'm just gonna like wander around. One of my favorites, actually, my top 2 guys now are Chimrut Iwe, right? They just give him the hardest name in the world to say, but he was from the Rogue One, Donnie Yen's character. Amazing. He was kind of a Jedi and not a Jedi. He was blind. He was force sensitive, and I think that was awesome. He's hands down one of my favorite characters. Really cool. And then just Lando, because this Lando was just cool. He was hip. And when I was a kid, I'm like, yo, they got a black guy in space. Yo, that's dope. But that's just me. All right, guys. Well, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.